2025, please don't rely on a miracle from God. I want you to tap into what you can do. Trust that what you sow, you will reap. Go ahead, take all the miracle verses, press down, shaking together, and running it over, and you're the above and not below, and the head and not the tail. Take it all, but do something though. Do something. Like, be the person that should elicit that outcome from your life. Even without a miracle, I'm gonna get what I'm supposed to get. I want you to be so confident in the inputs that you're putting in that you don't need a miracle to get the outcome that you want. It should be so inevitable that you would get a certain outcome because you're putting certain inputs. I don't need a miracle. I just need time. If I put the seed in and I do what I'm supposed to do with the seed, the harvest is inevitable.
Hey y'all, welcome to Boundaries and Grace.
Hey y'all, I'm Taylor Chandler. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist helping people break negative relationship patterns. Let's get into it. The men won't lead and the women won't listen. We're going to talk about how you can lead your relationship better. We hear this a lot, and I don't just hear this in my practice or with couples and individuals, but also, of course, we're hearing it on the internet all the time. Because we obviously have a leadership deficit in relationships. It's not that we don't understand that leadership in relationship is important, but I think it's more so that we don't know what leadership is and how to do it. Is that fair? I don't know a man who isn't intrigued by the idea of leading his relationship, but I know plenty of men who feel like they don't have the opportunity to lead their relationship. I'll also say this. Women can lead parts of the relationship too. Do we understand this? Like, this isn't like a red pill like kind of page in that regard. Can anybody give an example? I'm very call and response, y'all. Can anybody give an example of a way that a woman might lead in a relationship? Okay, wise counsel. Can you give me an area where she might be providing wise counsel? Here we go. She might be better at finances or home organization. Good, thank you. She has more experience in a certain area and she gives her perspective or insight. This is good. I got a screenshot. I really like to screenshot thoughtful comments. So she might lead with encouragement and less arguments. Okay, interesting. Ebony said overall management, home, children, delighting, expressing expectations within the, delegating. I was like, delighting. Okay. She's leading in the delight category. I like that. Sierra said expressing expectations within their relationships. She might have more insight, knowledge, experience in how to develop a relationship than the man does. Okay. She might lead in nurturing. She might be better at finances or decisions on what to do in her area of expertise or intuition about people you're working or doing business with. Really good. Such a thoughtful answer. I had to screenshot that one. All right. So thank y'all for giving me some of those examples. So this isn't about putting leadership all on men. And it's definitely not implying that only men lead in relationship. If this man and this woman are fully higher functioning adults, then there should be areas where both of them have the opportunity to lead. It seems like we're on the same page about that. So how can we lead better regardless of which position you are in the relationship? We all agree that leadership is important, but we are not all in agreement on how to do it, how to make it happen. I'm going to first make distinctions between leadership, control, and condescension. 4 points about leadership, and then how to practically lead your relationship better. So y'all, first I want to make distinctions. I want to make distinctions between controlling, leading, and condescending. It's kind of like, well, how can someone follow your leadership if that's not what you're actually doing? Control is making someone do something through like threats and punishment, where you're relying on fear and power. Condescending. I get a lot of men in my practice, whether they're individuals or in a relationship, I get a lot of complaints about condescension, patronized, okay, essentially treated like a child. Hi, Jerome. Nice to see your name pop up. When you're trying to get someone to do something through being condescending, it's like shaming someone into doing something, relying on their insecurities to motivate them, when really it just makes them feel worse. Treating someone like they're dumb. It might be a way that your parent talked to you and got you to do something. Okay. Some people really have a belief that I have to break you down in order to get you to do something. Condescending, relying on someone's insecurities to motivate them when in reality it just makes it worse. Leading, though, leading, inspiring someone to do something. Can somebody please drop in the chat, inspire? It's guiding, it's illuminating. You rely on someone's, listen to me, you're relying on someone's natural sense to want to be where you are and to want what you have for them. Y'all got, do we got that? Controlling, making someone do something. Condescending, shaming someone into do something. Leading, inspiring someone to do something. It's that I know you're smart enough to follow me. Wait a second. I trust that you can see what I have going on. I trust that you can see that this is good for you. I trust that you can see. I trust you're smart enough to follow me. That's a very different position than condescending to someone. I don't trust that you're going to be able to get this on your own. I've got to put you down in order to get your attention. Controlling, I don't believe that you're able enough to do this. I have to make you do it. I have to apply force in order for you to do it. Are we ready to move on? 4 points on leadership for you. Then I have 4 points on how to actually make it happen in your relationship. Because you gotta know what it is in order to effectively do it. Right? Because don't we hear a lot of people, they want to lead, but if I ask you what your philosophy on leadership is, you don't know where to start. Wait a second. I hear that you want to be a leader, but when I ask you, what does that mean? What is a leader? Who needs leadership? Who are you as a leader? You don't know where to start. But you want a thing, but don't know how the thing works. Hold on. Slow your roll. Women, you have some things that you want to bring into the relationship. There's some areas that you want to lead and even should lead based on your expertise or your area of knowledge, but don't know how to do it. And so then we have blind people. We got a mess, really. Let me just keep it simple today. We have a mess. We've got people who are full of potential, but can't make it kinetic, can't make it move. You got things in your head and things that you can see and ways that you want something to go, but don't know how to actually make it happen. Can we try to bridge this gap here? Hear this. You don't get someone to follow. You don't make someone follow you. You don't get someone to follow you. You inspire them to follow you by showing how it benefits them and how your own strategies are benefiting you. You don't get someone to follow. You don't make somebody follow you. You inspire someone to follow you by showing them how it benefits them and how your strategies that you're suggesting that they adopt, that they adhere to, are benefiting you. I have to talk about religion for a moment. Thank you, Chef. Thank you. I have to talk about religion for a moment because we got a lot of people, especially in the Black community, who, when we're talking about leadership and relationships, suddenly you're very Christian. Wait a second. Hold on. Suddenly you're very Christian. And you don't even know that where you're coming from. A lot of y'all can't even cite that it's Ephesians 5 that you're talking about. And now we want to apply biblical principle. Okay, fine. Listen, okay. But if we're going to do it, this is me. If you're going to do it, like really, really do it though. Like if you want to pull Ephesians 5, I want you to read the whole thing, because we heard wives submit to your husbands, but did you read the part after where it said, and husbands love your wives like Christ loved the church and love her and sacrifice for her and do all these things, cherish her. Anyway, some people don't read. You didn't read the whole page. But let me get back to the point. I want to bring religion into this conversation for a moment, because we have a lot of people who, when we're talking about now you want to lead in relationship, it becomes very religious and very Christian. But typically, I'm going to make my argument here. What I think is happening a lot, y'all, is someone's relying on that, let's call it mandate, that biblical mandate, wives submit to your husband, as a way to control rather than from a place of leadership and service. Can we have an honest conversation? Where I might want to pull, hey, you not being a godly woman because you're not submitting to me, and I want to use that as a way to control, when really you don't have the integrity of a man that woman should submit to. And tell me, if it's not you, do you know somebody who might have used that kind of religious justification but the integrity and the character of who you are doesn't match the husband they were talking about. I don't want to get riled up today. It's a calm Saturday. So what I want to bring that into the conversation because I love the principle. I love it. Absolutely. But in order to effectively apply the principle, you've got to embody the principle. Wait a second. Let me say that better. In order to effectively, that principle, you want to put it in practice in your life, but you have to be the person that elicits that kind of response. Come on. You got to be the person that elicits the kind of response. So when we take that mandate, wives submit to your husband, and we don't talk about the character of the husband, we're typically talking about this from a place of control, not from a place of leadership. I think I might need to pull the Bible out and we might have to do a Bible study on this. I have done that. And that was like the last two years. We might need to do it again. Y'all are following me so far, right? I'm going to say it again. When we take that mandate of submission, but we don't talk about the character of the husband, the character of the wife, because it doesn't just take an integrous husband. This is the wife with character. This isn't a weak woman. It's a strong woman that submits. I don't know if we can't have this conversation. This is a separate conversation. It's a strong woman that submits. Okay. I feel that pull to go in that direction. I can't. I'm gonna come back. I'm trying to keep it calm, y'all. I'm trying to keep it calm. I'm trying to keep this episode short. I'm not trying to be here for 2 hours today. Well, we got to talk about the character of that husband, the character of that wife. When we take that mandate, wives submit to your husband, and men try to use Bible to justify their leadership, have you checked the character of the man, have you checked your character? Am I the man that elicits that kind of response from this woman? Instead of using that from a place of control, can we do that from a place of leadership? Control, I try to make you do something, threats, punishment, and religion. I can't go into this. Religion's got to be one of the most, I can't today. I can't. It's really convenient. I'm just going to say this. It's very convenient. It's really convenient to bring in the wrath of God when because your character won't elicit. Hold on a second, because your character won't elicit this response from a woman. So I got to bring in the wrath of God to put fear in you, instead of relying on control and punishment and threat to get the kind of response you want. I'm suggesting that you rely on your character, which is what I think actually Bible is telling you to do anyway. People just like to take a lot of stuff out of context and make some things really convenient. If we're doing a Bible study today, we might as well all do it. Okay, what did they say? That my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Okay, because awareness and knowledge aren't the same thing. Hold on. Awareness and knowledge not the same thing. So I know as a man, you're like, I know that I'm supposed to lead, but do I know how? I know women, I know I'm supposed to submit to a leader, but do I know how? Women, I know that I'm supposed to give my gifts to this relationship. I do believe that that your highest gifts as a woman should be, the number one priority should be to pour that into your relationship. Women, I know that I'm supposed to be the woman who serves my husband, who submits to my husband, but do I know how? I know I'm supposed to find a leader, but do I know what leadership looks like? I know I'm supposed to even lead parts of this relationship because there's some strengths I have that are my husband's weakness. And I know I'm supposed to lead this part of the relationship, but do I know how? Goodness. Let's keep going, y'all. I got 4 points on leadership for you. I got 4 ways to make it happen. Make it happen in your relationship. 4 points on leadership. Number 1, lead by being somewhere others want to be. Hold on. Lead by already being somewhere that others want to be. How you gonna lead? You ain't been there yet. How you gonna lead? And sometimes it's not you have. Hold on, this is a spirit. This is spirit. Somebody dropped in my spirit. Sometimes it's not that you need to have been there physically in the body, but have you been there mentally? That's a conversation for a higher level of person. Sometimes it's not that you necessarily had to have been there physically. You haven't already have had to done the action yet, but have you been there mentally? Someone wants to come out of me today, and I'm trying to keep it calm, but I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my soul. Sometimes it's not that you need to have been there physically. You don't need to have already bought that. You don't need to already bought the house, but have you been there mentally? Is your mind a homeowner? Come on. I can't even get into that one today. Let me see. Sierra said, how does a woman communicate that she can balance out a relationship with her strength? We're going to talk about that, Sierra, a little bit. We're going to talk about that. In my 4 points for how to actually make it happen, we're going to talk about that, exactly what you're talking about. And then I had a workshop. This was like a year and a half ago now. I had a workshop called High Achieving Women. This time I'm calling it the industrious woman, because there are women who are very strong, have really strong strengths. Everybody got strengths, but some people have strong strengths. Like you got a real proclivity, a real inclination. Like you're above and beyond, you're above average in certain areas, but the way that you try to dominate is so aggressive that nobody want to hear it. Especially the man you're in a relationship with. He's not gonna hear it like that. So we gotta talk about that. I'm gonna do that workshop again, but it's gonna be better than it was before. It was a really good one though. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Lead by being some. Thank you for dropping that in the chat, Nico. Number 2, leadership is not overt persuasion. That's sales. Hold on. Leadership is not overt persuasion. That's sales. That's being a salesman. I'm going to persuade you to buy my product. Leadership is not overt. Thank you. Leadership is not overt persuasion. You're not trying to convince somebody. Now, let me say this for the men, because I hear this way too often. They say things like, I shouldn't have to say that. Come on, let's be serious. Let's be adults here. Let's be honest. Have you heard that? Have you been that? I shouldn't have to say that. I shouldn't have to tell you. Not true. I didn't say you shouldn't have to talk. Because a leadership is a very good communicator. A good leader even will adjust his or her messaging by who's on the other side and who needs to hear it. That's a good leader. So it's not that you don't have to talk. It's that I don't have to persuade. I don't got to convince you. Do we understand that? We got this right? We're following so far. Lead by already being somewhere that others want to be. They will follow you. Now, the person who doesn't want to think too hard will hear that kind of thing and say, no, they won't. Now we got a victim. Now here comes victim. Here comes the victim. Here comes the victim. Enter the chat. They never take long. Okay, I'm saying this ahead of time because I know how this goes. I put this out on the podcast. I put the clip out, and somebody's gonna say, I guarantee, put this little clip out, and without this part that I'm about to say, and a victim gonna enter the chat and say, no, they won't follow. I'm the best. No matter how well you lead, the women ain't gonna listen. No matter how well I lead, no matter how well I lead, he just won't listen. He just won't take my advice, won't take my suggestions. So I'm going to say this for the record. The people who are already looking where you're going don't need persuasion to go there. You gotta fight somebody who's going in a different direction. If you gotta fight somebody they're going in a different direction. They have a different vision. They don't see the same thing you see. They don't see the same thing you see. They're not looking in the same direction. They don't have the same vision as you. You're not looking at the same. So when you're trying to lead somebody that's going in a different direction, yeah, you're gonna have some problems. It ain't never gonna work, no matter how good of a leader you are. Well, first of all, I don't know how good of a leader you could be because your discernment must be off. To be pouring all this leadership into somebody who's not even going in the same direction, don't even have a mind for that. I'm not sure how good of a leader you really are. Your discernment must be off. So I'm already gonna go ahead and turn it back on you for a second and say, how did you get to a point where it's been 3 years? You said 3 years, huh? You said 3 years, huh? That you tried to get this woman to get on your program. I don't know how good of a leader you could be to be wasting your time in such a way. I think a good leader is a good time manager. I'm not sure how good of a leader you could be. Ma'am, when you got a bunch of ideas on how he could get the business going, how he could get his money together, how he could get his family together. You don't know why he won't take your advice. I don't know how good of a leader you are, miss. Something about the way you're communicating the vision doesn't resonate with this person. Okay? Come on. So if somebody going in a different direction, you're going to have a real hard time. And it's a real waste of time to try to turn them around. Don't save them. We're at a point now. We can't go around. Look, saving people was for back in about, let me see. Saving people was for around 2011, 2012. If you needed to be saved, you need to have gotten about, that was about 2011, 2012. That was okay. We're far past this. Okay. We can't wait. You can't be wasting time on people going in a different direction. Okay. And if you keep choosing people to try to lead who will not follow, you aren't as good of a leader as you thought. Leaders don't go around trying to gather people. Leaders keep going where they're going and people follow them. Somebody preach in the church. Yeah, you think about 2011, 2012, people were happy saying hello to people on the street in the grocery store, or a far cry from 2011. Okay, you need to be saved. You need to got on board about 13 years ago. It's over. So did you hear what I just said? A leader not going around trying to gather people, because a leader's too busy going where they're going, and you gonna come on board. Hello? So you find yourself, you keep trying to find people that you trying to gather, you trying to go find somebody, you trying to find somebody to get on your program, you trying to find somebody to save and find somebody to build up. You're not leading. You're gathering. And now you spent so much time gathering the people. Now you tired because you had to go off your track to go find somebody to get on your track. So I had to get off my route, go find somebody to go find you. And then we got to get back on track. I'm going to keep going. Leadership is not overt persuasion. It's not trying to convince someone. Number 3, leadership is through modeling. Hey, Dominic. Leadership is through modeling. So you can have read all the books. You got a bunch of awarenesses in your head. You got a bunch of data points in your head. But what do you embody? Leadership is through modeling. It's I can't even say a weak leader. It's a non-leader it's a salesman who got a bunch of concepts, but not a bunch of results. What are you doing? How are you showing up? A lot of people got a lot of ideas of how other people should be living, but what does your life look like? Leadership is through modeling. And number 4, if you're in the, let's just be honest. If you're in the dumps, because number 1 was lead by already being somewhere that other people want to be. So number 4, bring it full circle. If you not somewhere people want to be mentally or physically, like your environment, the way that your life literally looks, if you're not where someone already want to be, nobody following you. I'm going to keep this very simple. Just nobody's following. A dummy gets on. A dummy is what you get. And then you got 2 problems. You already in the dumps. Now you got a second issue. We got a whole nother body. Now we got 2 problems. You don't know where you're going. You haven't gotten it together. And then we got another blind mouse. Now we got 2 of y'all. We don't need blind people picking up blind people. Now we got 2 liabilities. When you're in the dumps, when you're not somewhere people want to be mentally, emotionally, physically, nobody but a dummy is following you. So basically the point is this. Let me just if you just got to kind of be real with yourself. If you wouldn't want to be where you're at, if you don't want to be where you're at, the last thing you need to be worried about is picking somebody else up and coming and making them come with you. You should know your assets and you should know your liabilities. I'm talking about as in you as an individual. You should know your assets. This is why someone should want to be with me. This is why someone should want to follow me. I am doing so well in this area that someone should want what I got here. I'm so good with money. I'm so good with my emotions. I'm so good with emotional intelligence. I'm so good with relational development. I'm so good with planning. I'm so good with logistics. I'm so good at this that someone should want to follow me. They should want the results that I have. You should know your assets and you should know your liabilities. And if your liabilities are outweighing your assets, you are a liability. If you're I'm keeping this episode incredibly simple, very, very, very low to the ground. Okay. We're not even going to go all the way up. If your liabilities, who you are and how your life looks, are greater than your assets, you are a liability. Not I'm God's child and I deserve and this is my birthright and yeah. But when we looking at when we looking at the data on this, when we looking at you, listen, it's not I don't want to make you feel bad, but if you feel bad because it is bad, hey, if you feel bad because it is bad, I'm not going to try to talk you out of that. If you looking at your balance sheet, I need to make a document. I need to make a document. You need to be real about just like you could pull up your bank account and you could see the deposits and the withdrawals. I want you to be able to see in you what my deposits looking like and what's my withdrawals looking like. What's my balance? What's the balance? Some of y'all overdrafted. You got trauma. You got triggers. You got family history. You got stuff. You know you should have been in therapy 8 years ago. You still dragging your feet, but you steady spending money on Uber Eats and Netflix. And you want, I don't want to do this, but you a liability to me. If your liabilities outweigh your assets, I'm not even talking about, because when we're talking about a higher level of thinking, I'm not talking about your money, please. I'm not talking about your money. I'm not talking about your portfolio. I'm talking about your mental state, your emotional state, your character. If your liabilities outweigh your assets, you're a liability. And someone would have to be dumb. Come on. Someone would have to be dumb to get on board with you. So you got to be real about your liabilities, be real about your assets so that you can manage your liabilities. You can turn your liabilities into an asset. Okay? Understand? Let me make that make sense for you. You got liability, you got family history. I'm a marriage and family therapist. You got a family history that don't look good. You got parents that were acting up. You got all kinds of stuff. You got weird stuff in the back. Okay? It's a liability. I want to be honest with you. It's a liability to be with you when you haven't worked on that. It's a liability because that stuff gonna come out and it's gonna affect me as your person. It's gonna affect our relationship. It's a liability. But when you work through it and you learn how to, let's say, accept and how to forgive, and you learned about your needs and you learned how to now speak up in ways that you didn't know how to do before, I turned my liability into an asset because now in this relationship, when I have a need, I've learned that I have to speak up. I can't just let it go because I let things go before. And I turn that liability into an asset. And oh, you don't know how to speak up, but now I do because that liability I turn into an asset. And my person doesn't know how to do it, and I want to teach you how to do it. I turn my liability into an asset. I've become more emotionally intelligent. I've become more relationally aware. I've become more compassionate. I've become more nurturing. I've become more direct. I've become more assertive. My liability, I transformed it into an asset. And oh, if you have that liability, I know how to do the same thing for you. Come on, somebody. Let's finish this up. Be real about your liability. Be real about your liabilities and assets. Okay? Take your liabilities, make them assets. Understand that if your liabilities outweigh your assets, if you have significant liabilities, people have reason not to take you on board or to get on board with you. It's valid, it's reasonable, it's smart not to get on board with liabilities. Okay? You cannot, 2025, please don't rely on a miracle from God. I have to tell you, I have to say this. Please don't rely on if it takes a miracle, for somebody to commit to you, if it's gonna take a miracle, if you like, I need a move of God to make this happen. There's a lot of things that you need to deal with. Is that if it's gonna take a miracle, it's gonna take God to get this thing back in on track. You telling me you got a lot of liabilities, okay? Thanks for buying a badge, Shanita. I appreciate that. I don't want you to rely on a miracle from God. I want you to tap into what you can do. I want you to tap into what you can do. And if you're religious, if you're spiritual, trust that energy, that what you sow, you will reap. Go ahead, take all the miracle verses, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and you're the above and not below, and the head and not the tail. Take it all, but do something though. Do something though. Okay, that aligns with that be the person that should elicit that outcome from your life. Be the person that should elicit that even without a miracle, I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get. Even without it. I want you to be so confident in the inputs that you're putting in that you don't need a miracle to get the outcome that you want. It should be so apparent, so obvious, so inevitable is the word I'm looking for. So it should be so inevitable that you would get a certain outcome because you're putting certain inputs. You're in come the work, in come the development, in come the awareness. Somebody preach, in come. It's so obvious that what I'm putting into me, that I'm going to get a certain outcome. I don't need a miracle. I just need time. Because when I put the seed, I'm preaching. If I put the seed in, and I do what I'm supposed to do with the seed, the harvest is inevitable. Please, you don't need to rely on a miracle. You need to rely on your effort. I got to move on. Let's do this. Let's finish this up. This is fun. This is good. This is good. Y'all, my podcast is Boundaries and Grace. It's on Apple, Spotify. It's on YouTube. If you're on Apple, leave a review. I love the podcast reviews. The podcast was like the first thing I did before I even opened my practice. Thank you. Okay. So y'all, let's do this. Let's finish this up. 4 ways that you can actually try to, you can like make this happen. We've already talked about the difference between controlling, condescending, and leading. We gave 4 points about leadership. And now we're going to talk about 4 ways that you can make this happen. Quick note, be a team, y'all. So be a team. There are areas where you are stronger than your partner and vice versa, where you are point blank better. I'm better at this than you. You're better at this than me. Number 1, if you can't, this ain't even the 4 points. I just got to say this. If you can't even admit that, you're my problem. If you can't even acknowledge that your person is better at some things than you, this is not the right page. You looking for something different. Okay, looking for something different. I honestly, the word is despise. That was coming to my mind. I really despise that kind of messaging that like women just like basically are inferior in every way because you're a woman, and we know that this kind of messaging is out there. I despise that. I think a healthy man that's got some sense knows that there are certain things that women can do better than him. That's an aware man. A good leader knows his weaknesses. Oh, I feel this. I have to say this. Austin and I were talking last night about the difference between being an authority and being an expert. And now I want to make a distinction right now, the difference between being an authority and being authoritative and being a leader. Okay. Someone who wants to take top dog position, when he doesn't know his weak points, he becomes a liability. Somebody write that down. When you don't know your weaknesses, your liabilities, you become a liability. Everywhere you are blind to where you are weak is a liability in this relationship. It's you're first a liability to yourself. And sometimes you can be arrogant because you're the leader. Okay, you took and I think I got, my mind is going in a couple different directions. So many things I want to say to you. Sometimes you become arrogant when you are the leader, and I think when you're arrogant and you are the leader, you're now no longer a leader. You're an authoritarian. Ooh, that was heavy. Ooh, that was kind of heavy. So when you become arrogant and you don't think that you have weaknesses, and you take the position of an authoritarian, telling people what to do, unaware of where you've left holes for enemies, for infiltration, for harm. But because you're arrogant and you don't acknowledge your weaknesses, we can't cover that. It's left uncovered. Okay? When you don't know your weaknesses or liabilities, you become the liability. So one of the best things, I'm going to give you a what do they call this? A pro tip. Pro tip for men. Rather than trying to go around talking about all the things you can do, take 15% of the time. From like if 100% of the time you just want to kind of try to pump yourself up and focus on your strengths, take about 15% of that time and be like, where am I weak? Where do I need development? Where am I? Where do I have holes? Where is this uncovering? Sometimes you don't even know it until you're in a relationship, and it becomes reflected to you because of weird things going on in the relationship, like discord. Okay. Dissonance, the opposite of resonant, like resonating together is dissonance. There's discord between us. And so you get that kind of result when you have blind spots that aren't covered. So one of the best things you can do, men, is to get very real and honest about where you're weak before the relationship, and then to be open when you're in the relationship to having those weaknesses reflected to you. One of the best things you can do, I gotta move on, is to, rather than being defensive, being open, being curious. There's a weak point here. And instead of being offended that someone saw somewhere that I'm weak, I can be more aware, because where you show me if you show me where I'm weak, you are my friend. If you take advantage of where I'm weak, you are my enemy. I felt like I'm preaching today. I don't know. I got to keep going. Okay. But listen, we're talking about this. Someone mentioned this earlier. They're like, how can a woman kind of communicate where she is stronger? Okay. Or where she can lead in the relationship. This is a part of this. If a man don't want to hear it, he don't want to hear it. I call them lost boys. I call men men who refuse the counsel of women. I call you lost boys. You're a male who doesn't understand the value of a woman's insight, awareness, the way that she's able to see some things that you don't see, the way she's able to notice things about you being in such close proximity to you that you don't see. Okay, I call guys who refuse to hear that and to integrate that kind of wisdom and insight into their life. I call you lost boys. But it is true. The way you communicate and try to take the reins over an area, okay? So you've got think about like kingdom, okay? Think about kingdom. In your kingdom, you have different domains. Okay, you got different domains in a kingdom. If the king of the kingdom trying to run every domain, he will be burnt out, overburdened, resentful. Okay, see, men who want to lead everything, I don't think you got to really count the cost. What's that really going to cost for you to lead, for you to take the reins on every single domain of this kingdom, every single domain of this relationship? It's extraordinary energy. It's not even advised to do that. Right? People like to talk about I don't know, I'm talking so much about Bible today. Is there something in the spirit? Having something in the spirit? But we talk about Proverbs 31. She was handling business. Okay, not sitting at home. So it's not even advised that a man will be doing every single area. But the way that you try to take the reins over the domain, the way that you communicate about where you are stronger makes all the difference. Partnership, both people have strengths, both people have weaknesses. We're in this partnership, we cover each other. Women, we love to talk about you need a covering. We fail to talk about where you should cover. Just take that ing, like, where do I cover? I'm really, this is a sermon today. I don't know. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, you're talking about, I need a covering, but where do you cover? Because he's got some weaknesses. And if he doesn't want to hear if he's in denial about the weaknesses, if he's so defensive, he can't hear the weaknesses, that's one thing. Okay? But if he's got it and he's not a lost boy, he is a grown man. He's a healthy man. He's a, as Jason Wilson would call him, a comprehensive man. He's a whole man. He'll be aware he has weaknesses, not in denial of his weakness. He'll be aware he has weaknesses and will accept your covering. But the way it's communicated can make all the difference. All right, I feel like I landed that plane. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Men, is it true or is it not true? Men know that when they were immature, it was hard to get them to see something. They were more resistant, but when they get more mature and they start to grow, they get more mature. They're like, you know what? I actually do need to take some counsel. All right. So the way you communicate, it makes all the difference. Number one, how can you make this happen? How can you communicate better? Number one, communicate your care. Communicate your care and how you see this in their best interest. Communicate your care. That I care for you and see it in their best interest. See, this is what I'm going to do a workshop on the industrious woman. The industrious woman, the working woman. There are so many different ways to say this. Some people call them a boss bee. Sometimes they call themselves that. Please stop. Please stop that. It's very unbecoming. Please don't refer to yourself. I have no issue. You can call yourself a boss. All right. But adding the B on the end, just like I don't like the N word. I never liked it. I just cringe. I cringe. Especially when you refer to yourself. I don't like that. I don't like that. How in one breath you talking about the power of life and death is in your tongue and you would refer to yourself in such a derogatory way? It's not funny. It's sad. I've always been really like just really disturbed by that. I'm really disturbed by that. I don't like that. I think you should reconsider how you talk about yourself. So anyway, women, listen, I know there's so many women who do have insight, who are able to see things and who want to be able to critique and correct. Okay. And you could be spot on. But the way that you do it at work, the same way that you climbed up that ladder and you had to be aggressive and you had to be hard and you had to be tough, that same thing that you got rewarded for at work is the same thing that's going to make him leave you. I don't even want to make that sound cute. I'm not even going to put a little rhyme on it, put a little rhythm on it. I'm not going to do it. It's just the same. Just be clear. Just be simple with it. That same way that you were rewarded for your aggression at work, that you were literally compensated in relationship to how tough you could be, that same strength at work is a weakness in your relationship. And we're going to talk about that when we do that high achieving woman workshop again. We do that industrious woman workshop again. You have to get really clear on that. All right. So when I say communicate your care, I have to be specific because some of you critique without care. So wait, is this church? Some of you critique without care. You correct without care. You critique and correct, but you don't show that you care. And you think that by pointing things out, that's showing that you care, but your care isn't showing your love for this person. Do you understand? You got that? So you have to learn how to couch your critique. This is a woman's work. This is a woman's message right here. You got to learn how to couch your critique. This is so good. I'm feeling myself. You want to couch your critique, couch your correction in care. It's not going to sound the way it sounds when you talk to a subordinate at work. Trust me, it's not whatever that is, it's not that. Whatever that is, I don't even need to know your situation. Whatever that is, it's not that. You gotta communicate with care and how you see it, how you see this in your best, how you see this in their best interest. We talked about the distinction between condescending, controlling, and leading. We talked about how leading is inspiring, it's guiding, it's illuminating. It's not, I don't have to get you to do it. I inspire you to do it. And I can inspire you to do, I help to inspire you to do this by showing you how this is in your best interest. This isn't for me, it's really for you. I'm a beneficiary of your development. When you're correcting and critiquing for yourself, I need you to be this way for me. You're controlling me. But when I'm from a place of leadership, I'm going for the same result, but my mindset is for you. You're doing this for you. I'm a beneficiary of your development. The way that you progress, I'm a beneficiary of that. But this is for you. But when you're not even in that mindset, you can't just see this is something. Listen to me. Come here. This isn't something you can just say. I feel I gotta go. This is not something you can just say. You can't just take my words and go over there try to use it on your man. You have to actually know it. You got to actually believe it. You got to actually embody it. You got to know. You got to be in that mind. Men know this, even if they even if they haven't put it into language, they know the difference between somebody saying something and somebody being something. You telling me this is in my best interest is very different than you being in my best interest. Come on, somebody preach. There's a difference between you saying this is for you, babe, but you really being for me, babe. There's a difference between you telling me this is for me and there's a difference between that and you being for me. That's something that you can't fake. You can't parrot that. Communicate your care and how you see their best interest. Number 2, practice what you preach. You got to practice what you preach. We said one of the leadership points was that leadership is through modeling. You have to practice what you preach. You're talking about you got all these ideas, but I don't see them on you. You got all these different critiques and corrections, but I don't see it on you. Somebody pulled the Bible. We've been doing Bible today. You talking about the speck in somebody else's eye when you have a log in your own. So you're over here critiquing and correcting everybody else. But do you practice what you preach? You talking about he got to get his money together. What's yours look like? You talking about she needs to lose weight. You still in the pool with your big t-shirt on because you refuse to go to the gym more than once a week. You talking about you need certain body, you need certain money, you need certain what? So you have to practice what you preach. That's how that helps somebody to buy into what you're saying when you're doing it. Because look, if you're not doing it, you can't understand the demands. Let me put my glasses on. When you haven't done it, when you're not doing it, you don't understand what it takes. So you lack empathy. You're mandating without empathy. You're mandating not understanding what it takes to execute. Wait a second, you want execution, you got no empathy. You don't know what it takes. You don't know the hours. You don't know the pain. You don't know the roadblocks, the speed bumps, the potholes, the sinkholes. You don't know the walls, the mountains. You don't know the way you get tricked up over here and the way you get tied up over there because you haven't done it and you still not doing it. But you're trying to get someone to execute, but you lack empathy because you don't understand it yourself. So until you can practice what you're preaching, I suggest you stop preaching. I want you to shut up. We all want you to shut up. We all want you to stop. We all want you to stop. Everybody want to teach, but sometimes you're the student though. You think you could teach somebody how to be a woman, teach somebody how to be a man? What you doing? You got a bunch of ideas. You a dreamer. And somebody who sits up in, what do they call this? Like a glass house or your little castle, and you try to mandate, but you don't move that way yourself. You don't even know what it takes. You have to practice what you preach. to get somebody to motivate somebody, to inspire somebody, to help to inspire somebody to do what it is that basically you want them to do in a way that you would, and doing things that you would actually ultimately benefit from. Let me try to raise this up a little bit. Okay. So what else we got? Number 3, be willing to, what are we talking about, y'all? 4 ways to inspire leadership in your relationship. Y'all, I appreciate you buying badges. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Number 3, be willing to see your own faults and fix them, not just trying to correct others. Okay, I think I already kind of covered that point. Communicate your care and how you see their best interests. Practice what you preach. Be willing to see your own faults and fix them. Not just talking about, listen, y'all need to retire. God's working on me. It's in progress. I'd be so tired. I'd be so tired. Sure tired. I'd be sure tired of hearing that. Because it's interesting how you got a whole manual plan. You got a whole plan you trying to roll out on somebody else. But when somebody points stuff out on you, you talking about, well, nobody's perfect. Hold up. The way you trying to read people down, the way you analyze it, everybody that walks in the room, wait a second. But when we point it back on you, you talking about, well, it's a work in progress. Nah, if you want to open people up and slice them open and be talking about you got this wrong with you and that wrong with you and you can't do this and you can't do that. Listen, you need to be, you have to, it's cool if you can read people like that and you can analyze like that. That's great. Now do it on you. Now you first, you do it on you. How about that? All right. Number 4, be coming from a supportive place, not a controlling place. Becoming from a supportive place, not from a condescending place, from a supportive place. You know what's interesting about support? This has come to be something just dropping in my spirit. I feel like this word just needed to get out today. You know, the interesting thing about support, I see this right now. The interesting thing about support is that it comes from underneath. The interesting thing about support is that it comes from the bottom up. Spotting someone at the gym, I'm behind you and then I'm under you. If I'm supporting you, you're climbing up a ladder, I'm supporting you, I want to hold the ladder from the bottom. I'm down here, pushing up. Y'all, this is a higher level concept. It's a higher level concept I want to talk about right now. Okay. So when you're in a supportive mindset, you're not looking down. It's too good. When you're a supportive person, period. When you're a supportive man or a supportive woman, you're not looking down. I look up at you. I see, oh my, I got goosebumps. I see you for how big you are. Oh my God. Do y'all feel, I feel that. I got goosebumps on my arm. I see how big you are. I'm talking to you from a perspective of how big you are. I see how much space you can take up. I see, when I'm looking up, I'm admiring you. This is for people. This is a woman. That's a woman. So when I'm in a mindset and in a space or a place of support, I'm looking up at you. I'm not dragging you up. I'm not pulling you along. I'm not looking down on you. I see how big you are. I'm coming from a supportive place. From the bottom, I look up to you. Oh my goodness. That's a man and that's a woman. That's a man and that's a woman. That's inspiring. When you have a deficit, but when somebody's talking to you about it, they're talking to you from how they see you beyond the deficit. That's inspiring. Some of you got to find a whole new way to communicate. You need a whole different vocabulary, and that's okay. But if you can do that, as a man, if you can do that, You wonder why women don't want to follow. If you can do these things, it's easy. So you wonder why people won't listen to you. You wonder why you can't get the kind of results you want, the kind of dynamic that you want. I want you to listen to this again, and I want you to be real with yourself about what you got in this, like what you're already on with this, like you good to go, and what you could really do some work on. Because if you can do these things, it's not going to be a problem. So when I hear all these people complaining, talking about people won't lead and people won't follow and all this stuff, that's all we hear about, the complaints. But when you get to the root, are we doing these kinds of things? Because when you're doing this, it's not a problem. It's not a question. It's not a question. People who got some sense follow people who do this. They're inspired by people who do this. They stick with people who do this. They turn around and reciprocate for people who do this. Okay? Y'all, this was, I really enjoyed this with you today. If you want to work together one-on-one, if we're an individual or a couple, if you are single or in a relationship, I work with those people. Okay. I work with specific issues, but I work with all kinds of people. And you can fill out the form in my bio. Y'all, share this episode when it's complete, when it's edited and everything. Share it with somebody. Okay. And I will see y'all next week. Bye. Bye. You're welcome. Oh, thanks. Bye. Hope you have a safe flight. Y'all stay safe out there. Bye.